offseason continues to be crazy, so we have to bring in our Hall of Famer, David Aldridge, to get the latest scoop on what's going on. So, DA, what does this mean for Toronto? And number one, what does this mean for Kawhi?
Well, look, Ro, I mean, I think it's a gamble. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you're taking a chance on a guy who has told you very specifically that he did not want to be traded to Toronto. And you're taking him anyway. Now, if you're the Raptors, you're saying, we think we have a chance with LeBron out of the East finally, the guy that's beat us 3 straight years in the playoffs and tormented us, to maybe break out of the East and get to the finals with a healthy Kawhi Leonard. And certainly you would put them on that top line with Philly and Boston with a healthy Kawhi Leonard. But the question is, what happens after this year? What happens if you don't make the finals? Now, the Raptors believe they've got a lot of young talent on that team. They love the picks that they've brought in the last few years, Van Vliet and Wright, Siakam. They really think those guys, and Onanabe last year, are ready to take a big step. They may have to if Kawhi leaves and you wind up trading DeMar DeRozan essentially for nothing, or for a guy that's only going to be there for a year. But it's a gamble that they're willing to take because the East is that open next year.
Yes, a major gamble indeed. So let's move to the other side. Looking at San Antonio, you have DeMar DeRozan, who recently re-upped with Toronto, goes in the press conference, declares that he is Toronto, wants to be the first player that they drafted that actually re-signs with the Raptors. Now he goes to San Antonio, and he appears to be a little bit in his feelings about everything that's going on.
Well, look, DeMar has been very upfront over the last year about his own issues with mental health and depression and things like that. And, you know, he wears his heart on his sleeve. As you mentioned, he really repped Toronto honestly and forthrightly for 9 years. I mean, all you heard before DeMar DeRozan got there was about people who didn't want to be in Toronto, didn't want to play for Toronto long term. Well, this was a guy that was drafted there from Los Angeles, never expressed any desire than anything other than remaining in Toronto for his whole career. He didn't even take a visit when he was a free agent a couple of years ago, Ro. He signed that big contract, the extension right away, and wanted to be a Raptor for life. And, you know, if you look at his Instagram post this morning, they back up what we have all been reporting, is that he is very upset about this trade. He feels like the Raptors lied to him. You know, he and his representatives talked with them last week in Las Vegas, and what they are saying is they were assured he wasn't going to be dealt. Now, look, things change. We understand that. But he's not taking it very well right now.
So it seems like we've seen this before. A player that is an all-star who's from the Southern California area who wants to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. So going back to Kawhi, we seem to have seen this with Paul George before. He ends up getting traded to Oklahoma City, falls in love with the culture there, ends up re-signing. So is there a chance that Kawhi could possibly end up staying with the Raptors? You see that happening in any scenario?
Well, look, Ro, I've learned, I'm old enough to know that you never say never, right? So it would be silly for me to say that the Raptors have no chance to re-sign Kawhi Leonard. If they do run the table, if they do get to the NBA Finals, and he plays a big role in that, and they're successful, and he bonds immediately with Kyle Lowry and some of the other players there. Look, anything can happen. What I'm telling you today, in the middle of July, is he didn't want to go there. He doesn't want to pay the taxes that he's going to have to pay there. And, I mean, that's a real thing, you know, for players. It's that, you know, he was coming from a state with no state income tax to a place that taxes you pretty liberally. So that's a factor. And, you know, that was not a place he wanted to go. I can tell you that even though he didn't want to go to L.A., and he preferred the Lakers, but he would have been okay with the Clippers, from what I'm told, he would have given Philly a fair look. You know, it's no guarantee that they would have been able to re-sign him either, but he felt a lot more comfortable at least giving Philadelphia a real fair shot, especially given that Brett Brown is the coach there and he knows him from San Antonio. So that is not as big a case in Toronto. But you've got to give Masai Ujiri, Nick Nurse, the new coach, the players, the staff, the organization, a chance to make their impression on him, and we'll see what happens. But right now, he is not inclined to stay there.
Yes, we definitely will see what happens. DA, thanks for joining us, but stay close. We might have you come back.